Today we're going to make a deep dive into the scary world of risks. Trying to be a little bit cheeky, but in essence we have a general prevalence here in the Central European area to be very risk averse. We're always worried about what's going to happen, the fear of the unknown. But in essence, we can't control any of this, can we? And so the idea is, let's try to figure out a way to actually live with it. Furthermore, who's to say that the unknown always has to be negative? That's a bit of a way of looking at things that perhaps, considering where I come from originally, is a little bit of not quite the norm. We always see the glass as being half full and not necessarily half empty, which is very often the case here in the Central European area. And so how do we actually go ahead and move with this subject? I think part of it is actually removing the emotions and looking at that particular risk from a very factual perspective. And so one of the tools and techniques that I like to use, specifically looking at risk, is a SWOT analysis. And the SWOT is another acronym standing for strengths and weaknesses, which actually looks from the internal perspective. And then we have the opportunities and threats looking at it from an external perspective. So you have your actual risk. You go ahead and perform the exercise looking at the strengths and weaknesses that you have internally vis-a-vis the risk, and then the opportunities and the threats that are actually coming from the outside. By performing that exercise, it gives you the opportunity to go ahead and look at the actual risk from an objective perspective. And hopefully it allows you to go ahead and make informed decisions based on something very factual and no longer emotional. I find it to be quite a useful tool. And here I suggest give it a try. You might be surprised. It might be quite useful in allowing you to go ahead and looking at risk from a completely new light. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you found it to be informative. If you like what you see, please feel free to go ahead and register for our vlog series, and we will try to keep up the momentum. Again, thanks again for joining us today.